Right. I want you to just sit back for a moment and imagine the profound silence that hangs in the air right before the very first chord is struck. Imagine the raw, unfiltered emotion of Andalusia, the dust, the oppressive heat, the centuries of intertwined sorrow and joy, all of it being channeled entirely through 6 strings and the heavily calloused hands of an absolute master. Today, we're tracing the remarkable journey of a musician who didn't just play flamenco, he fundamentally, completely reshaped its landscape. We're diving deep into the evolution of Vicente Amigo, a true, undeniable genius of the Spanish guitar. Now, our goal in this explainer isn't just to rattle off some dates or list a bunch of albums. No, we're going to examine the very soul of his music. We're going to understand exactly how his profound technique and deep emotional intuition forged a completely new era for the flamenco genre. So, let's get right into it.
Sounds like Vicente. You know, it is incredibly rare for any instrumentalist to achieve this level of distinct identity. In the vast, highly complex world of flamenco, musicians are bound by centuries-old rules. They have to navigate these fiercely guarded traditions and strict, completely unyielding rhythmic structures that are known as palos. Just surviving within those rigid frameworks is difficult enough, right? But to carve out a sound so entirely your own that listeners can identify your very soul within just 2 or 3 notes, well, that is nothing short of miraculous. For decades, the ultimate benchmark of singular genius was Paco de Lucía. Aficionados would hear a dazzling run on the fretboard and whisper, "Ah, that sounds like Buckle." Today, with that exact same reverence, they hear a specific sweeping harmonic warmth and immediately declare, "That sounds like Vicente." This explainer is dedicated to uncovering exactly how he achieved that instantly recognizable, fiercely independent voice.
To truly grasp this artist's evolution, we're going to follow a clear, 6-part historical journey. We'll look at the musical context, his beginnings, a massive turning point, his technical innovations, his overall impact, and finally, his lasting legacy.
Part 1. The musical context, the modern flamenco landscape.
To truly understand Vicente Amigo, we've got to firmly position him within the era that birthed him. He stands shoulder to shoulder with absolute titans like Paco de Lucía and Tomatito, but his arrival marked a very distinct shift in the tide of modern flamenco. Before Vicente emerged onto the scene, Paco and Tomatito had already done the heavy lifting of opening flamenco's doors to the wider world. They globalized the genre, right? They infused it with phenomenal speed and these incredible jazz influences. The landscape was forever changed, but honestly, it was also incredibly daunting for any newcomer. I mean, how do you follow legends who have seemingly conquered every single peak? Well, Vicente Amigo took that baton and, rather than just imitating their blistering speed, he built an entirely new aesthetic. Without Vicente, the flamenco we listen to today simply would not be the same. He directed the current toward a much more lyrical, introspective space. His contribution to the guitar is monumental because he brought an unprecedented, highly personal sensitivity to an art form that is so often defined by its aggressive fire.
Let's move to Part 2, Beginnings and Breakthrough, Taking Flight. The milestones of his early career chart this rapid, almost explosive ascent. Back in 1990, the great Paco de Lucía actually hired a young Vicente Amigo to plan the launch album for the singer El Potito. On that record, Vicente accompanied the singer specifically in the alegrías style. Now, the alegrías is this joyful, intensely rhythmic, and fiercely demanding palo originating from Cádiz. To play it alongside legends required absolute, unwavering mastery of compás. That's the underlying rhythm of flamenco. And the afición, the deeply passionate and famously critical flamenco fan base, well, they were watching him very closely. And what they saw was a young man who wasn't just keeping time, he was elevating the singer. The pressure of stepping into a solo career with that kind of spotlight is immense. Yet, just a year later, in 1991, Amigo stepped out from the shadows of accompaniment to take his first solo flight. He released De mi corazón al aire, From My Heart to the Air. The critical reception was staggering. This album, which actually included a deeply moving tribute track titled Maestro Sanlúcar, proved he was not just a capable accompanist, but a formidable, totally visionary soloist. And he rode that rapid momentum straight into 1995 with the release of Vivencias Imaginadas.
Which brings us to Part 3, the key turning point, consolidation and the blessing of a god.
That 1995 album, Vivencias Imaginadas, was far, far more than just a successful follow-up. It was the pivotal moment that definitively solidified his standing as a master concert guitarist. The significance of this album was really cemented by track 5. It featured a collaboration with a man Vicente quite literally considered a deity. Paco de Lucía is, for me, the god of flamenco guitar, Vicente famously said. If there is another, I haven't seen him yet. Paco is the flamenco guitar in person. He sings with his guitar. Now you have to understand, in the deeply hierarchical culture of flamenco, a younger player doesn't simply ask a master for a favor. No, the master must recognize the undeniable truth of the younger player's talent. Receiving the blessing, the validation, and the profound musical collaboration of his absolute idol on a record that consolidated his own solo career, that was a deeply emotional turning point. It was a true passing of the torch. It was an acknowledgement that Vicente was no longer just a student of the art form, but one of its reigning kings.
Now we reach Part 4, Technical Innovations and Style, the Physicality of Sound.
Before we get bogged down in the intricate theory of his music, we really have to acknowledge the sheer physical reality of his craft. The creation of such ethereal music requires an intensely tactile physical relationship with wood and string. Consider his 2003 Lester DeVoe guitar. Lester DeVoe is widely regarded as one of the finest flamenco guitar makers of our time. This specific black guitar, built with a cedar top, provides a dark, rich, and intensely warm resonance. It's basically a perfect vessel for Vicente's introspective tone. The rosewood fretboard offers a crisp, immediate response to his touch. The instrument still bears the original bone nuts, which is material specifically chosen and calibrated to transfer the maximum amount of acoustic energy from the strings right into the body of the guitar. But perhaps most tellingly of all, the fretboard and neck show heavy, obvious wear from countless hours of study. They bear the undeniable physical scars of absolute dedication. The blood, the sweat, and the calluses required to master this instrument are immense. This heavy wear and tear really humanizes his genius, doesn't it? It reminds us that his flawless, deeply emotional output is actually built upon a foundation of immense technical rigor, forged through endless grueling rehearsals behind closed doors.
And what exactly was he perfecting during those solitary, grueling hours?
Well, let's break down his style. It's been beautifully defined by the flamenco critic Norberto Torres as a union of deep melodic exploration and a completely new dimension of accompaniment harmony. First, his melodic exploration is simply unparalleled. Vicente weaves these unexpected, intricate scales and deploys a breathtakingly delicate arpeggio technique that literally makes the guitar sound almost like a harp. He revolutionized the use of alzapua, which is the rapid percussive use of the thumb, transforming it from what was a purely rhythmic attack into a tool for sweeping, continuous melody. Secondly, he introduced a completely new dimension of harmony when accompanying other musicians. Traditionally, flamenco guitar relied on a relatively fixed set of chords. Vicente, however, began interweaving jazz-infused chords, complex tensions, and altered voicings. He paints this incredibly rich harmonic tapestry that supports and elevates the singer without ever once overpowering them. It is, quite simply, the perfect marriage of supreme technical command and pure, unrestrained emotion.
This brings us to Part 5, Impact on Modern Flamenco, the Symphonic Leap.
Having mastered both traditional solo performance and the incredibly delicate art of accompaniment, Vicente Amigo's restless innovations inevitably began to influence broader, far more complex musical structures. In 1997, the flamenco world was completely astonished when he premiered Poeta. Now, this wasn't a standard album. It was a full symphonic concerto for guitar and orchestra, conducted by the renowned Cuban composer Leo Brewer. The sheer scale of this symphonic leap really cannot be overstated. Imagine placing a delicate, percussive, intimately voiced flamenco guitar in front of a massive, sweeping symphony orchestra. It is a monumental challenge. The guitar has to lead the narrative without ever getting lost in the overwhelming orchestral mix. The piece was based on the poetry of Raphael Alberti, and the execution was so flawless that Alberti himself delivered incredibly powerful praise. The legendary poet stated that this young composer and guitarist had managed to transfer to music all the heartbeat and tremor of my verses. Vicente had definitively proven that the raw, beating soul of flamenco could command and beautifully converse with an entire symphony orchestra.
Finally, we turn to Part 6, A Living Legacy, Return to the Roots.
To truly appreciate a master's evolution, we have to look at the full, sweeping arc of their career. And there's a fascinating contrast in his discography that perfectly reveals the depth of his artistic maturity. Consider his boundary-pushing orchestral fusion in 1997's Poeta, a massive work of expansive poetic exploration. Then contrast that with his 8th studio album released in 2017, Memoria de los Sentidos, Memory of the Senses. After spending years successfully traversing the globe, fusing flamenco with jazz, pop, and all sorts of world musics, this 2017 album was a deliberate, profoundly brave return to his pure roots. There was absolutely no fusion here. There were no orchestras, just the raw, unadorned core of traditional flamenco origins. Returning to such an exposed traditional framework after reaching the dizzying heights of global fusion requires immense courage and a profound artistic maturity. And this purist approach was wildly successful, winning him the Latin Grammy for Best Flamenco Album. It demonstrates his complete mastery, that extraordinarily rare ability to travel to the very outer edges of musical experimentation and then return home with even greater power, clarity, and reverence.
You see, his legacy isn't confined solely to his flawless playing or his compositional brilliance. It is deeply reflected in the immense respect he commands from his peers. For Memoria de los Sentidos, Vicente brought together an absolute top-tier, all-star cast of flamenco legends. We are talking about singers like El Pele, Nina Pastori, Miguel Poveda, Arcángel, Pedro el Grananino, and the incredible dancer Faruquito. Bringing together names of this magnitude is akin to assembling the ultimate supergroup of the cante jondo world. These are the modern giants of flamenco. They are artists who literally carry the weight of the tradition on their own shoulders, and yet they all gathered willingly to serve Vicente's vision. Their presence on this record is a definitive testament to his supreme status within the community, fully cementing his central, undisputed role in the genre's living history.
So we are left with this incredible, almost provocative question. How can any future guitarist compose without echoing this master's falsettos? Vicente Amigo has encompassed so much and innovated so deeply that he casts an inescapable, genuinely beautiful shadow over the entire art form. This question echoes through every flamenco academy, every dusty tableau, and every grand concert hall in the world today. His sound, a highly personal voice born from immense physical grit, thousands of hours of unseen struggle, and a deeply profound emotional intuition, has become a permanent, indelible part of flamenco's very DNA. He fundamentally transformed the Spanish guitar, expanding its harmonic vocabulary and completely stretching its emotional reach. In doing so, he ensured his legacy will be felt, whether consciously or unconsciously, in absolutely every single note played by the generations to come. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into his extraordinary evolution. I sincerely hope it leaves you eager to go and experience the master's music for yourself.